Okay, so I'm a presenter. I can present anything, right? Well, I suppose with the right preparation, the answer would be yes. But I can't fool myself to think I'd be the best host for a pop music show. I wouldn't be. I have to be realistic. Or if I am going to do a show like that, then I have to do one heck of a lot of preparation to know what that particular audience thinks about, turns them on, what's current, everything. Knowing your audience is vital for you to be a good host. So as we would do the same, if people were coming to our home for a meal, we'd get to know what their likes were. We'd get to know that, okay, so I've got a vegetarian, I've got a vegan, I've got someone who can't eat shellfish. You'd know of their likes and their phobias and their allergies. Similarly, with your audience. What do your audience do? What papers do they read? What other TV shows do they watch? What current affairs, topics are interesting them? Then you have to identify with that. Now, at the beginning, sometimes that's something you're not interested in. I had to do shows about crystal at one point in my career. Crystal, I'd never even thought about crystal before. But I suddenly got switched onto crystal. I would do research about crystal. Hey, even when I was on holiday once, I dragged my children into a Swarovski crystal shop just so that I could look at the latest offerings from that great company. I became a crystal fanatic. It's not fooling anybody. It actually happens organically. Once you start investigating a particular subject, you start getting turned on by it. You think, yeah, that's really interesting. I love the way that they do that. How do they do that? What's the makeup of that crystal? How do they do it? You can get yourself involved in something that your audience is involved in. So, what are they watching on the television? What are they reading about? All of this helps for them to identify you as someone who knows what they're talking about. Not just some airhead who's come along and is talking nonsense. Again, I presented hours with the World Wrestling Federation, and I loved those hours. That's when it was the WWF. I loved those hours, but I had to do a lot of preparation beforehand, weeks of getting to know who the various wrestlers were. And I had the great privilege of co-hosting with the great late Randy Savage, doing a wonderful couple of hours with him. But by that time, I knew who he was. I knew the whole history of the World Wrestling Federation. I knew the subject. And that's what we've got to do with everything that we host. We have to become a mini expert so that if anybody does stop us in the street, we don't say, hey, well, that was all written for me. I don't know anything about it myself. That's not something to be proud of. Something to be proud of is saying yes and get involved in what the audience is getting involved in. That way, we are knowing what our audience is wanting from us. And we're going to know those lines when, if we go down a certain road, that's the amateur way. We know that the people watching don't want to know about that. They want to know about this. So engross yourself in your audience. Your demographics is the word that everybody uses these days. And it's right. You want to know where they live. You want to know what they're interested in. And you can so easily do that now with the internet. You can find out what people are thinking, what they're reading about, and then become engrossed. Because when they feel, again, it's that connection. You're communicating with a friend. We want to be a friend. We want to be someone they trust. The only way we can do that is to get to know them. They will get to know us because we're in front of the cameras. We're on the speaker, on the radio. But we've got to know them as well as they know us.